What's up? Friday edition of Cluster Fun. Danny Cunningham, Manny Hill talking NBA Finals today after the Raptors come away with a Game 1 victory over the Golden State Warriors by a score of 118 to 109. Kawhi Leonard wasn't that great, but Pascal Siakam says hello to the rest of the common basketball fan. Might not have known who he was, but he said hello last night.
Yeah, and he's really been a good player. He's really, I think, probably the leading candidate for most improved player this year.
I would be surprised if he doesn't get it, yeah.
Yeah, he's been really good for the Raptors all year, but he's been sort of up and down throughout the playoffs, throughout this deep run for the Raptors. But yeah, he showed up last night, and they needed it. We talked on Raised by Wolves about how if the Raptors are going to win this series, they need the other guys aside from Kawhi to step up, to kick their game up a notch. And
Sure.
Pascal Siakam did that last night. I thought Marc Gasol had a really good game. Danny Green was really good, knocked down some big shots. And if the Raptors can get this, and if they can get Kawhi Leonard, who had kind of a so-so game last night, if they can get Kawhi Leonard to play more like what we're accustomed to seeing from him, they can win this series without question.
Absolutely, and I think last night was probably the first time in a little bit that Kawhi Leonard hasn't been the best player on the floor, but Pascal Siakam was, and I don't think that was something that we reasonably could have expected. Not only Kawhi not being the best player, but when you're sharing the floor with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, I know Kevin Durant didn't play last night, and it sounds like he won't play in Game 2 either. I didn't necessarily expect this type of effort from Pascal Siakam. That was really encouraging to see. That atmosphere last night, that's something I want to talk about, because
amazing.
The fans in Toronto have, I don't want to say been long suffering, but they've been tortured by LeBron and the Cavs over the past 3 years, and they've had some really good teams. And if LeBron had been out west or just somewhere else, the Raptors probably go to the finals each of the past 3 seasons. And now they're there, and last night was incredible to watch.
It really was, and it kind of reminded me of when the Kansas City Royals went on their 2 World Series runs in 2014 and 2015, where the atmosphere at Kauffman Stadium in those postseason games was so electric, and it was a fan base that had not seen that sort of success in a long time. Now, the Raptors situation is a little bit different. They've had good teams over the years.
Where the Royals were essentially
they were just terrible for 30 years. Yeah. But that atmosphere last night was very much similar to what we saw, I think, at Kauffman Stadium for that 2-year run that the Royals had. And it was electric. And I don't really have a dog in this fight as far as these two teams are concerned. I would like to see the Raptors win because it would be something new and fresh, because we've seen the Warriors sort of dominate the league for the last 5 years. But that atmosphere was electric. And that team, Danny, really plays off of that crowd really, really well. We've seen them throughout this entire playoff run really feed off the energy from that crowd, and it's really helped them. And I mean, they've won some road games during this postseason as well, but that crowd in Toronto has been amazing. It's been electric.
Yeah, they were terrific last night. It was really cool to see. And then I do want to talk about the Kevin Durant angle to this, because he didn't play last night. Probably won't play in Game 2. Do the Warriors need him to win this series?
I don't think they need him. I think if he plays, it certainly increases their chances.
Sure.
Obviously, but we've seen this team win at a championship level before Kevin Durant even put on a Warriors uniform. So I think they have the makeup to win this series without Kevin Durant even stepping on the floor. The question I have, though, is how many more injuries can they withstand? I mean, we saw Andre Iguodala have a leg injury last night. I don't know what injury it may be. I don't want to speculate on what it could be, but that could be a situation to watch, because if Kevin Durant is not going to play in this series, they need Andre Iguodala even more, just with his defense and his veteran savvy. And if he is taken out of this series because of an injury, that could really change things for Golden State.
I thought he did a terrific job last night defensively against Kawhi Leonard. He was Kawhi's primary defender, and Kawhi, I believe, was 5 of 14 from the floor. It was certainly not his best game. It was actually his lowest usage rate in terms of how often he was ending possessions offensively. It was in the low 20s, which has been the second lowest of the playoffs, only behind their Game 5 win against the Orlando Magic when they blew the Magic out and really didn't need Kawhi that much. But Andre Iguodala was terrific last night until that leg injury in the fourth quarter, and you have to wonder what his status is going to be. And DeMarcus Cousins came back from a torn quad last night, and he certainly did not look like DeMarcus Cousins.
He looked rusty. Yeah, Boogie looked really rusty, and it's just to me it just seems like it's hard to incorporate a guy, and you've talked about this with Durant too. It's hard to just throw a guy back into the mix on this particular stage in the NBA Finals and just think that it's just going to be a sort of a seamless transition into getting a guy back into the lineup. And there's rust, and how close to 100% is Boogie Cousins, if he is even 100% at all, which I kind of doubt.
Oh, there's no chance.
Yeah, so it's going to be, this is going to be a challenge for Golden State. I still think they're going to win this series, but Toronto's got a real shot, man. They got a real legitimate shot to win this thing.
And I said yesterday on Raised by Wolves that I think that this is a long series, and I think that last night kind of proved that. I would be very stunned if the Raptors win this in 5. Or 4 for that matter, which is on the table, obviously. I'd be very stunned if the Warriors come back and win the next 4. I think that this series is going 6 or 7 no matter who wins, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, the other thing I'm going to be watching for in this series is the two benches.
Yeah.
Because I think Toronto is a deeper team than Golden State. I don't think Golden State's bench is particularly good. Now, they've gotten by with it because their starting 5 is so great, but that the bench they didn't really get a lot from their bench last night. And Kevon Looney came in and gave them, he played starters minutes basically, but he didn't really give them a whole lot. They didn't really get a whole lot from the other guys that came off the bench. And that's, I think, where not having Durant really hurts them, is because you could, in certain situations, in certain lineups, bring Andre Iguodala off the bench, and he's more of a, he's giving you what they don't get out of the bench right now. But now he's a starter, and so that hampers them a little bit too.
And on the flip side of that, it's interesting to see Fred VanVleet turn into prime Ray Allen.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's essentially become.
Yes, he was very good last night too. And we talked about it, like, if the Raptors are going to win this series, that's what they need. They need Kawhi to be great, which he wasn't last night, but you got to think he will be at some point in this series. Yeah. But they need Kawhi to be great, and they also need the other guys to step up, to kick their game up another level. And last night, those guys did do that. So if the Raptors can keep this up, and if the Warriors are still dealing with, lineup situations and Iguodala not being healthy, and is Durant going to play or not, this could be really, really interesting. This could be a series that goes 6 or 7 games.
I think it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah.
Game 2 is set for Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time. Certainly can't wait for that. Manny and I will be back with you on Sunday. Score North Sundays on 1500 AM, Score North, scorenorth.com. Wherever you consume us, you'll be able to find it there. We'll talk to you then. Cluster Fun will be back Monday at 11.